microphone and you're good. Oh, there you go.
Hey, guys.
Perfecto. I'm going to leave my social distancing photo up there because today is a bad day.
I know.
No, y'all are looking great. So how are you all doing in all of this?
You know, pretty good.
Trucking on, keeping busy?
Oh my God. Yeah, I'll share some of the numbers with you. It's been shocking how busy we are.
Good. Well, I'm very excited about that. And that's part of why we wanted to do this, is just to give our people, number one, an opportunity to see what's still going on. And then number two, maybe some ideas on what they can do to help keep things rolling.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, sorry. I'll mute myself. And we can get rolling whenever you'd like, just because I know people will pile on, as we go, but we'll at least get going.
Great. Well, thanks. Scott Stevenson here at Northwest Title. I'll kind of do an overview of what we're seeing, positives and negatives, but also then get into even some marketing things that we can help out with, and other ideas. God, it's an honor to be on a call with you all, it is definitely a different time. Well, the good news is this: thank God we're in real estate. That's what I keep saying. It's unbelievable what we're seeing business-wise right now. In March, for example, let me tell you what my March looks like. We've got 130 employees at Northwest Title throughout the state, into Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana as well. All of them are working. Everyone is able to work from home. I'm still shocked by the amazing job my IT department did getting us ready for this. But we have about 80 to 90% of our staff working from home every day, and they're busy. The other part of our staff is in the office, obviously, doing closings, and we'll talk about that. But the numbers have been insane. Let me give you an idea. We had the largest revenue month in March in our history as a company. We did more transactions in March than we ever have at any other time in March. Matter of fact, we also had more orders in March than we've ever had as a company ever. We took in 1,156 transactions in the month of March at Northwest Title. 1,156 new orders came in during March, and that is a record for us in any month in our history. Our last big month of orders was April of 2019, and we had 896. So we have 300 more orders than our biggest month ever. Real estate is still happening, folks. But what are we doing closing-wise? Let me just give you an overview. Closing-wise, our in-office staff, really the only reason they're coming in is to print documents, checks, get things ready for closings. Most of our transactions right now are happening in our parking lot. And that probably will continue to increase over the next few weeks as the surge of sick really hits, and I think will probably scare most of our clients. But most of our transactions are parking lot closings where our clients are driving up. We can sit here at the Worthington office of Northwest Select and just look out the window and walk them through over the phone, answering their questions and having them just simply sign those documents in their car. That is really probably the #1 avenue of closings right now. We do have a few that are doing in-office closings, but I've allowed my closing officers to choose what's most comfortable for them in these transactions. But when we do have people come in, oftentimes the lender isn't there. It really is just the borrowers or just the sellers coming in and signing documents. So we're not seeing that many agents all the time either, which is fine, because really we don't want to have more than 3 or 4 people in a closing room as it is, to keep our social distancing and 6 feet and all of that. But that's happening. We are willing to come to your offices that are, maintained properly and have the necessary sanitary things in place. But really, that's most of the transactions we're handling here in March have been in our parking lots or one-on-one in small seatings within our closing rooms in our offices. We did do a few in-home where we've driven out to somebody's home and passed documents through the door. They're not effective. They're very confused. We had one person yesterday who missed a lot of spots to sign in their documents while they were inside the house. And Jonathan, my business partner, was in the parking lot, on the phone with them, trying to help him sign. He missed a bunch of places to sign because he was on a call for his business at the same time. So there he is trying to sign while, still doing work. It is much more effective to come to our closing location, to sit in their car, and we can bring the documents and sanitized pens out to them. They can sign, we can answer questions over the phone. That is really the number one way. But we are pretty much saying to everybody, we're gonna do whatever we can to make closings, happen. Because every deal and every dollar that comes into our office pays another day of our employees, paychecks. Let me talk about a few other positives we're seeing. As I mentioned, we've never taken more orders in a month ever than in March of this past month. We had a huge closing month. The interest rate, as you've seen, kind of been hovering, in the threes. Everything I'm reading is saying even though the 10-year Treasury bond rate, which is super low, it's at 0.7% right now, and usually the interest rate, the 30-year fixed rate is about, 2.5 basis points above that, which would really, we might go into the negative territory, but all the economists are saying it probably won't go any lower than 3 as we move forward. So rates are crazy. And as I mentioned, thank God we're in real estate, and this is totally different than the recession that we dealt with how many years ago. Remember that, back then we had a bunch of homes that were overvalued. That's not the case right now. We don't think we have overvalued homes. The housing market is currently underbuilt, where we had so many new homes back then. And sure, consumer confidence is going to wane here pretty drastically, especially in the next few weeks ahead as we get into the real sickness. But a lot of you have been telling me that there's a lot of people at home fixing their houses, getting ready to sell. I think we're going to see some downsizing, and we might have inventory when we get through this surge that may be kind of exciting. But let me stop here for a second and talk about things that you as an agent can do to make sure your closings happen. This is critical stuff. You've heard about the counties, our county courthouses closing. Trumbull County, for example, currently is completely closed. That's up Warren, Ohio, north of Youngstown. Cuyahoga and Trumbull were first hit, with the virus. So that's where we're seeing the problems. They don't have enough staff to come into the office to even open the recorder's office. That is the biggest concern that we have moving forward. However, our industry just last week got legislation passed that says that the county recorder, the county auditor, anything to deal with real estate as an essential business are required to stay open. So the law did pass, it is there, it does say that counties have to remain open, but the example that we had yesterday in Trumbull County of just simply there's not enough healthy people to come into the office is really the only hangup. So why do I say that and scare everybody off the bat? Well, because there are things you can do to help us. One is that title policy. The best thing you can do right now, everybody, is when you have a listing appointment, have your sellers locate any title insurance policy that they would have received when they purchased the property or even when they refinanced. That document is something that we can start our search from. So if it's dated, 1994 that they purchased the property, sure, there might not be a discount for the title insurance they might purchase, but we can start our search in 1994 based on that back title or that title policy that they have. That's really critical in counties that are outside of Franklin County. A lot of counties do not have online records past the 1990s. So when we have back title, that might be able to get us to a closing table with a very limited search where we're only searching things online. And that's what's happening right now. We are searching everything we can online. There are a few things we cannot search, and that is probate records and also divorce records. Both of those situations obviously are not of public record. Those things are personal and we can't have access to them, but counties are slowly allowing our search staff to get appointments to go in individually into the county recorder's office and do searches. So right now, our searches are happening. And with your help getting back title policies, even in smaller counties where they don't have the online records, that is huge. It might get us to a closing table as counties are shutting down or not allowing people to get in there. So that is important. The other thing is my title industry, the title insurance industry and title agents like myself are taking on more risk with every transaction we handle. My industry, for example, is insuring the gap. That is something that you probably haven't heard before, but when we do a closing here at the closing table, we insure between the date of that closing till the moment that the documents are recorded at the recorder's office. That's the gap. The gap between the time of the closing when we sit down here and when the documents are actually filed. There's some risk there. We're now insuring that gap, meaning that no matter how long it takes for those documents to be recorded at the courthouse, and because many of these county offices are closed, we have no idea when that deed or mortgage will be recorded, even when we drop it off right at their office. We're insuring the gap to make sure transactions happen. They're also lessening our search standards right now, which is great news. So some of the search issues that we're coming up with, they're insuring over those areas where maybe we can't see probate records or divorce records. They've been allowing us to insure through those. Sure, there might still be problems coming up, but right now, things are working in our industry. Let me tell you a couple other things here that you might have heard of, and that's electronic signings and remote online notary. RON is what it's called here in the state of Ohio. I don't have any good news about RON. The legislation for remote online notarization was passed here in Ohio in September of last year. There are, in that law, it says that we're required as title agents to hook up to one of 5 national companies that record and save all of the information that's collected during an online notary closing. Sadly, my company, led by about 3 people in our offices here in Columbus, have been trying to make that software work for the last 3 months. It ain't working, folks. It does not work, and it's really sad. It is where our industry will head, but I will tell you right now that these online companies that are authorized to do this in Ohio with our assistance, they're just not ready. And worse yet, I heard on Thursday that they had 2,300 new companies sign up with one of the providers we were trying to use just on Thursday. They have no capacity. So that's the sad news. Here's the good news regarding online notaries. And you've seen the news. I don't know if you've seen where people have the virus. They can't even let family members come into the hospital to see them. Well, can you imagine if it happened to you and you didn't have a will? Can you imagine if you hadn't done any kind of probate type thinking in the past? And here you are in the hospital and there's no way to sign electronically a will, a last will and testament. Well, because of that, there is currently emergency legislation. It's actually being led by a lot of people on my team. Chip Brigham is a part of our Cincinnati group, and of course, Bill Fergus, many of you know, here in Columbus. They're a part of the Real Property Committee for the Ohio State Bar Association. They just met yesterday and all agreed that we need to have the ability to do online notarizations, even if it's just simply through Skype. So there is legislation, emergency legislation today that has already been approved by the probate section of the Bar Association as well as the real estate section of the Ohio Bar Association to move forward, which is, if the Bar Association is behind it, it will usually get passed. and that is to allow for attorney-assisted notaries online by just simply using something like we're using right here. That is the way we move forward in the next few months, and I am encouraged that we might have legislation. Okay, so the bad news is the current law doesn't work, and online notary isn't really a possibility right now in most of what we're doing. But there might be legislation in the next week that would allow for attorneys to notarize documents online just using Zoom or some other feature. That's huge and something that is exciting for us. But let me tell you this, we still need the lender to approve online notarization. I'm currently working with someone in your Worthington office right now. You've got a closing scheduled for actually Friday. And the seller in that situation just returned. He's an Ohio US resident. He just returned from Turkey two weeks ago. Disclosed to my staff and to his real estate agent that he had been around people that were exposed to the virus, and that he and his family are quarantined for the last 2 weeks here in Columbus in their home. So far, no signs of illness, which is good. But the whole thing was, well, how are we going to do this? How are we going to get this closing done? I talked to their lender just yesterday. They were trying to get approval to have this person do an online signing of a power of attorney. But the problem here is this lender sells all of their notes on the secondary market to Freddie and Fannie and the rest of them. And if they don't approve the use of an online notary, even on a power of attorney, or they don't approve a power of attorney, we're kind of stopped. Until this person can be healthy enough to come and do a closing here in our parking lot or some other measure. So this is really the biggest concern we have is, can we continue to get deals closed? The remote online notary law in Ohio is not working. Many offices won't even accept a deed, so it might work with a borrower's documents. But then again, the second hurdle there is, will the lender even allow for an online notarized document to be used on their documents? So these are the hard ones, and these are the hiccups that we're all going to face. So with all of that being said, I want to tell you another thing. So the first thing I said, as an agent, you need to be concerned about is getting back title when you have your listing appointments. Get the title policy. Any policy will do. The second part is stay in touch with your borrower's lender. Find out if they're allowing these things to occur, or are there any hiccups that they see coming. Stay in tune with your title agent. As soon as we get a search back, did we have any problems or not able to search certain records that might be a slowdown to get this done? But stay in tune with us. The other one is, it's time to get those extensions or those addendums to your contract signed. I know you have them available here at Keller Williams. I know Bill Fergus in my office is already working with the Board of Realtors here in Columbus to get that approved, some language. They're also working with on the same thing at the Ohio Association of Realtors. But again, it's probably time to get those extensions signed. And then finally, even if you have a borrower that might be closing in the next week, have them contact their bank, because the bank's lobbies are all closed. So get with your borrower and say, hey, have you reached out to your bank to find out how you would even go about wiring funds to a closing? Those are some things that you can do now. So again, look for back title, stay in touch with the lender on any problems, stay in touch with the title company with any issues they might be seeing, and then finally even talk to your borrower or seller if they have to bring money to closing. Have they been in touch with their bank to talk about wiring funds and how to go about doing that while they sit at home? Why don't I open it up for some questions right there? I've talked a lot here, but why don't I just take some questions and then we'll see where it goes, and then even talk about some marketing things that we can do too to help out during these times.
So when you talk about marketing, is that just on the front end? Do you do anything on the other end as far as follow-up?
I'm not sure.
We can find out.
Let me slide you over.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Good to see everyone. Hopefully you're staying safe and healthy right now in these times. We actually just introduced a new product. It's called our property video slideshow. And this actually uses your property images and it transforms it into a slideshow for your Facebook advertising, your LinkedIn, however you want to do it. So that's one of our new tools that we are offering here at Northwest Title. And we also have, among other digital marketing products that I'm happy to share. I can email Kayla all those details and she can email them out to you if that would help.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, I will get that done today. And also I wanted to mention another thing we're doing is we're doing weekly newsletter updates, which is a very, very nice tool that kind of updates you on the title end, how we're doing things here at Northwest. So if you're not on that email list, I can get you on that email list as well. Just email me. I think you guys should all have my contact info, but I'm always here for you guys. And if you need anything, let me know.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. Should we have our earnest money checks made out to you?
Yeah, you know, we're seeing earnest money checks all different ways right now. Some are actually depositing it with our company, and then we would provide an actual escrow, earnest money escrow agreement to be signed by all the parties. But right now we're seeing a little bit more of a change to deducting it from the commission checks, so that we have the funds. You don't need to necessarily be bringing checks to us. It is something that we can do with your brokerage to make those work. Melissa Mamula is here with me too. I know you've talked about, there's been a lot of questions about earnest money. You want to kind of give us a little bit more information on there?
Hello, everyone. Also, agents have been dropping off the checks made out to the buyer, and then the buyer can sign that over at closing. Then if the closing happens to not occur, then we can certainly just get that back to you guys, because most of the time it's already deposited with your company. So if you are wanting that done, you can just drop it off at the front desk, but it really needs to be made out to the buyer. Or as Scott mentioned, if you're wanting us to hold it, we have to have that escrow agreement so that we have some direction on how to get that dispersed back out. Or a credit that we can do back from taking it out of the check of the commissions. And then that way, so a few different ways, and we can talk about it too, depending on where you're at in the contract. So if you're just starting a new contract, you may want to put some verbiage in the contract in regard to earnest money. Or if you're getting ready to close, then we just want to really make arrangements. The most important thing is to make arrangements that we're ready to go with funds for closing, so that we can disperse out those all important commissions, plus also proceeds to the seller.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, just let us know about earnest money. It's been a constant topic for us here for the last really month. And as I mentioned, our company hashtag is just making things work. We're going to do whatever it takes to make it work. Thanks, Donna. Anyone else with some questions?
No, I mean, I think that was great. That was very informative. I think just knowing to go ahead and ask for that document ahead of time. I mean, those just anything that we can do to stay ahead of the curve is what we're looking for.
That's for sure, Kim. It's all about communication, as you all know. A lot of what I talked about today are in our newsletters that Melissa mentioned. So we'll continue to have those out there. Again, thank goodness we're in real estate. There's a lot happening. We've never been this busy, before really springtime, and all my staff are working, and we're actually picking up a lot of new transactions across the state. But matter of fact, I just listed my house today with Eric Ransom. It just went on the market. I know we're doing showings as I speak. It's weird. I know what you guys are going through, and I appreciate everything that you as an agent do help your clients. As you know, Eric is a good friend of mine, and he's been fantastic to help us get through this unusual time of, you know, having people in your house and those things. But wow, it's amazing even how many showings we've had by just putting it on the market this morning. It's a shocker.
Good. Well,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I do want to let you know again, be looking for our newsletters, and of course, reach out to any of us. We're all available. You know, our phones are working. They're every one of us is able to work at home and answer those calls and get back to you. So we're always here and always available. And I will keep you posted, especially in the newsletter and probably on Facebook posts about any new legislation, especially the one about the ability of attorney supervised notary. That might be the answer that we need as we really get into the sickness part of what we're about to face and keep people safer. But again, our parking lot closings are probably the #1 way to do things these days. It's easier, it's more effective because we have access to all of our copiers and those things that we need. And our clients are excited about it and happy that we're making these things work. We're going to continue to try to use the electronic signings for the things that don't require a notary. We are able to get documents out to people and have them signed just like you do in .loop. But it's the notarized documents. It's the mortgage, the deed, powers of attorney, and even the lender's documents, depending on if they're selling them on the secondary market. That's where we come into problems because they're really not authorizing online signatures or online notaries at this time. But I expect as we get further down the road here this year that our industry changes drastically because of this, and for a positive. I was joking today, I wonder why I have so many closing rooms anymore in a lot of my offices. Maybe we don't need them anymore. So, you know, because of online notary and where we're headed legislatively, I think this might be a do it at home kind of experience going forward. And I'm excited for that, to really provide a better solution. As you all know, we do about 5 actual sit-down closings for every 1 transaction we handle. You know, the husband comes in, and the wife comes in, and then the buyers, you know. So I think what we're going through and these hurdles that we're dealing with right now on electronic signatures and notaries, it'll end up being a much better experience, I'm sure, by the time we get to the summer. Well,
I'm
again,
sure.
everyone, thank you so much for having Melissa and I on the call today. We're excited to continue to do this. If you ever want us back, let us know. We're happy to share what we're seeing and what we're doing, and hopefully in a positive way. We're pretty excited about where we are as a company. We're excited about what the government's doing to help us keep our people employed, even if we do slow down. But right now, we've never been this busy in March, and we feel very blessed.
Well, good. Congratulations, and let's just keep it rolling.
Yeah, you too, guys. Stay safe out there, everyone, and all my best to each of you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See ya.